Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan with some late night videos. I was out all day and sorry, poor Little Joan, all by herself today. But she was good. She was a good doggy. We had walkies before I left, right, baby? Right, baby? Okay. So here's what's going on in the election. Not a whole lot. Joan, I just got started. Come here. Here, come over here. So, not a whole lot happening today. A lot of procedural stuff. Okay. So, they're going through the recounts in Wisconsin, and Trump observers are they're saying that they're obstructing the recount. Now, Tim Pool, I just watched his video on the topic. It sounds more like the Trump observers are challenging a lot. And this may be part of the bigger strategy of getting to the Supreme Court. Because you get to the Supreme Court, Trump is going to probably win there. I mean, I'm arguing with I don't know how many people online about this, and they keep saying, "Oh, Trump has no way, he lost," and I'm just like, well, first off, the election isn't over until the votes are certified and the Electoral College votes. This is going into court. It is possible that the court, and I think this is generally the path he's headed down, the court will either say the election is invalid and we have to go to the delegates, or they will rule so many times in Trump's favor that it will void votes, flip states, whatever. I think it's going to the delegates because I don't think the Supreme Court wants to micromanage every state and overrule every court. But in order to make that happen, the Trump administration has to prove that the election as a whole, I think, is no good. That if they can look at 2 or 3 states and say, listen, you either got to overturn these states or admit that we have too many problems here. I think that's what they're going for. I think that's the final push, but we're not up there yet. I think, when they show whatever evidence that Powell has regarding, say, the voting machines, that'll be like, well, we've got evidence that there's problems in this state, and this state. And then we have these voting machines, which were used in 27 states. These 3 states where we know we had problems, we already know that, that's established, use this software. So it is likely that all 27 states have problems in that area. And keep in mind, too, these problem votes, these recounts, if this is a fair election, it's perfectly plausible that those votes could go to Biden. But Biden's side doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. They're not fighting it. Where are Biden's lawyers? Where is the Democratic, where is the DNC lawyers? Why aren't they on the ground observing this? They don't seem to be participating. Isn't that weird? I mean, the media is participating. They're screaming to the rafters, "It's over! Surrender!" At the very least, if Trump doesn't win this, he has certainly shaken the Democratic machine in these areas. And they will basically be forced to institute much more stringent policies with regard to voting in the future. People aren't going to stand for this. They're going to make sure. They're going to be forced to make sure. And a lot of people, regardless of whether Trump wins or not, a lot of people are in trouble for interfering with the election, not doing their job, or mishandling votes. I mean, in Detroit, they got the video. They got the video and pictures of people standing around mishandling votes. There are laws I know the laws in Michigan are according to Giuliani, you have to have the ballots in a wooden crate that's been double sealed, and they had boxes of valid ballots and cardboard boxes and just bundles on the street. That's illegal under Michigan state law. Now you could say, well, they're not going to prosecute anybody. I think they're going to prosecute. Even the Democrats will realize, well, we have to prosecute, or how would that look? And if those people do primarily work for the Democrats, they're going to be pretty angry that they're being prosecuted and go into jail for this kind of stuff. And that means in the future, when if Democrats try to pull this same stunt, everybody's going to be like, well, F you, you put those other guys in jail. I'm not going to jail. Not for you. So that's definitely going to be something that happens downstream either way. And keep in mind, Trump has done a lot in 4 years. Once he reaches the point, say, if Biden is certified and actually becomes the president-elect, Trump still has like a month as president. Okay, you've seen what he did in, such a short time he's been president. Imagine what he's going to do on his way out. Oh yeah. They're already talking about this birthright citizenship executive order. And with the Supreme Court, it's going to be very difficult for Biden to overrule that, because he's going to have to keep going back to the court. And the court is they lean more towards Trump now. They lean more conservative. So good luck trying to pass a bunch of stuff, Biden. You're not just going to be able to waltz in there and say, I'm overturning this executive order. But anyhow, the election's not over yet. So if Biden won, just do the damn recount. I mean, I'm so sick of these people. They're fighting the recount on a state level. Not that the national party doesn't seem to care one way or another, but the state level people seem to be fighting it tooth and nail. Now maybe the national party saying fight them tooth and nail. I don't really sense that. I sense they're kind of checked out from all this, but I think that's because they know there's a lot of shenanigans, and if they get caught and they keep their hands clean, they could just point to the state guys and go, well, those guys screwed up, not us. But we'll see. Again, I think this is all just get us to SCOTUS. Get us to SCOTUS. That's the plan. So Trump requests a recount in Georgia. This makes sense because really all they did was recount the very same votes that Trump's people are alleging weren't valid to begin with. And what they want, I think this headline's a little misleading. I think what they want is a state, it says that the sub-headline gets it. The request comes on the heels of a statewide audit of the election conducted last week. I don't think they did an actual audit. I think they did a recount. What they want is an audit, meaning that they want to look at the signatures and compare them. So, again, this could end up in the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court will rule on it. So, as long as it ends up in the Supreme Court, that's to Trump's favor. And maybe this is all just a big delay to present the quote-unquote real evidence of the computer servers and the cyber stuff that Powell seems to be sitting on. Now this is, as of 6 o'clock, Obama-appointed judge, this is the Gateway Pundit, dismisses Trump campaign lawsuit seeking to block Pennsylvania from certifying election results. So this is a victory for Biden. U.S. District Judge of the United States District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania, Matthew Brand, a Barack Obama appointee, on Saturday dismissed Trump campaign lawsuit seeking to block Pennsylvania from certifying its election results. The Trump campaign argued the Equal Protection Clause However, the Obama judge shot back and said that some counties may have chosen to implement the guidance or not, or to implement it differently does not constitute equal protection violation. Well, that seems wrong, but I mean, what are you going to do? He's a judge. Now, I guess this could be appealed. The judge accused the Trump campaign of asking the court to disenfranchise almost 7 million voters. That's, yeah, see, that doesn't, that sounds emotional. That doesn't sound like law. This court has been presented with strained legal arguments without merit and speculative accusations unpled, ooh, that's a word, in the operative complaint and unsupported by evidence. Well, okay, if you don't think there's enough evidence, yes, don't talk about disenfranchising voters. It's about the evidence. In the United States of America, this cannot justify the disenfranchisement of a single voter. Well, stop. See, look, it's just about the evidence. Stop virtue signaling. He must have really been an Obama appointee. Judge Brand said Trump's legal team was not armed with compelling legal arguments and factual proof of rampant corruption, such that this court would have no option but to regrettably grant the proposed injunction relief despite the impact it would have on such a large group of citizens. Now, that sounds very biased right there. That sounds incredibly biased. Why would you put that in your statement? Trump was up by nearly 700,000 votes, blah, 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 blah. GOP observers were blocked, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's basically it. So, a loss in Pennsylvania. I don't know if that's over yet. I assume they can appeal it and appeal it to the Supreme Court. So, we'll see. We'll see if the Supreme Court, maybe that's what they need to have happen. Just go right to the Supreme Court. So that's where we are in the election. You know, it's a lot of back and forth at this point. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I think if Trump gets the SCOTUS, you know, it's the ball's in his court. It's on his home turf, and he's likely to start winning this stuff. So, for instance, this right here is a perfect example. If they could get this in front of SCOTUS, I think it's likely SCOTUS will go, no, we're going to overrule the judge, and we think these votes are no good, and they'll throw them right out. Sounds to me like the U.S. District Judge he sounds incredibly biased. We'd reluctantly grant this. Like, you're supposed to grant it. You're supposed to talk about the evidence in the court. You're not supposed to comment on whether or not you are reluctantly doing your job. If you don't think there's enough evidence, fine. You didn't prove your case. On your way. The end. The virtue signaling about the votes. And I don't see how it disenfranchises 7 million voters? How does it disenfranchise 7 million voters when you're eliminating votes that were handed in late or whatever, or weren't properly vetted? You could argue that it disenfranchises those voters if they were actual voters, who knows, but it doesn't disenfranchise the rest of the votes. That it overturns the election doesn't matter. There are people who voted for Trump. It doesn't disenfranchise them, certainly. Now, you could argue that the other voters, I don't think it disenfranchises them. If you're eliminating bad votes, you know, that's not their fault, and they're not disenfranchised. This is the fault of the people handling the votes. Those are the people you should be mad at, not the candidates. But again, I hear no mention of Biden's lawyers or the DNC lawyers. So it's weird to me. It's weird to me they're not in this fight. It seems like they're not in this fight at all. So, but that's a bad sign for Trump in that, you know, as confident as Trump is, the DNC doesn't seem to be fighting this at all. So that could be a sign that the DNC knows they're going to lose and they don't want to bother to fight it, or they know they're going to win and they're not bothering to fight it because state level judges, they'll fight the whole thing. Or maybe they're just waiting to get in front of SCOTUS so they could try to argue the other way. I don't know. But this is going to go back and forth for at least another week or two. But hopefully we're going to see some of this computer info. That's what I think it seems like it's leaning towards now. Whether or not the German raid, I mean, everybody's talking about the Germany raid. I don't know if it was a thing. It seems like it was real. It seems like it was valid. Certainly someone's going to write an interesting book on this subject. It's going to make a great movie. Not if the current kind of Hollywood makes it, but somebody a little more sort of in the middle makes the movie. I think it would be a great movie about intrigue. Guys like stealing votes and putting votes. I mean, the other day we saw a truckload of ballots being shredded. I didn't see the shredding part. Somebody told me that was another part of the video. But a woman who followed a truck, and apparently they took a bunch of votes away, but they were supposed to hold them for 22 months, and they weren't. So, I don't know. A lot of shenanigans going on. Hopefully, we sort it all out, and I think Trump has got this. I still do.